Okay, so this is the unit on Introduction to Customer Relationship Management. Okay, so if you just put yourself on mute, so if everybody puts themselves on mute, I'll do that for some of you that I can see I'm not on mute, just so we don't get any background noise. Okay, all right, so yes, Louise,
Sorry, you're probably already going to do this, but it was just a reminder. Can you please add the slide packs by the end of the session?
I will do, yeah,
Excellent, thank you.
no worries. Right, so course intent. Understand what CRM is, customer relationship management. Okay, what that is. Understand the advantages and disadvantages of using CRM. Understand the aims of a CRM and why it is important for your business. Understand how CRM works for the organization and customers. Understand the difference between customers and consumers. Okay. Okay, so what I want you to do is use the chat or come on mic and tell me what you understand by CRM. Okay. Not just what the acronym stands for, but the bigger picture. Okay, so you can use the chat, and if you want to come on mic and tell me, then just put your hand up.
I don't know a lot about it, but I know in my last job,
Hmm.
we had a website. It was like a directory for social support groups and things. And our kind of comms colleagues that were working on it were talking about setting up a CRM system, which I think
Okay,
was to do with because it was a directory and people could like apply to put stuff onto it. It was kind of monitoring what they were doing on there and how much traction it was getting and I think to some extent what they could be doing more, I'm guessing with SEO tags and things like that to improve sort of
okay.
visitation and what have you. I could have just made that up.
No, that's fine. So obviously, sometimes people say, "Oh, we need a CRM," and they don't know what CRM is, right? Other times, they kind of mix between CMS and CRM, which is a content management system. So we'll look at it and hopefully it'll make sense what CRM is, and then you can think back to think, okay, would that be in a CRM that they would have used? Okay. So Louise, you got your hand up.
Yeah, I was just going to say that in my roles, I've been working with like HubSpot and Pipedrive, which are all CRMs. So I don't know them in depth, but I just
Yeah.
understand that CRMs, it's an app where you can track all customer activity, like company names, key contacts, where you are at in the sales process,
Yeah.
etc., etc. They're like, there's loads of things that you can do, but the aim is to have it all in one place that the company
Yes.
can access as a whole.
Yes. Okay. That you said some key words there, all in one place. Okay. So hold that thought. And we'll just go to the next slide. I'll just go to the chat because I did ask people to write in the chat as well. So let's see what's written in the chat. A system that collects information on your customers. It helps all departments stay informed. I have no idea what it is. Supports sales process and resource planning, tracking customer communication and engagement. A system that helps manage communication with your customers and analyze effectiveness and communication. Afidi, got your hand up?
Yeah, I was gonna say that the way I was thinking about it in terms of a system that I could
Mm,
use to make sure that I'm hiring the right person for the job and kind of
mm-hmm.
assessing it from literally from how you write the ad to how you conduct the interview to how you record the results of the interview and
Okay.
going forward. Yeah.
Yeah. That's that. Again, it's about defining who your customer is. Okay. So in your case, your customer could be potential, you know, people who employees basically. So your customer is different from somebody else's customer, who may be purchasing a product, but CRMs will still work for you. You'll have a specific CRM, or you may have to customize a CRM. Okay, but we'll go in depth and we'll understand what CRMs are and how they work. So when we talk about CRM, we're not just talking about a piece of software. It's actually a full approach to managing customer interactions. Okay, from the first contact all the way through to the after sales support. Okay. So CRM describes the strategies, the tools, and processes a business uses to manage its relationship with the customers throughout their life cycle. So we've talked about a customer life cycle before. Okay. So remember, I gave the example of a foot massage service at an airport. That life cycle would have been 6 months, a year, right? But if they don't have a system where they're collecting emails, advertising to customers, promoting products, collecting information on customer behavior, having that interaction all through the process to the after sales support, then they're losing out on many opportunities. So it's basically a platform to manage the whole journey, the customer's journey, making sure you're not losing the customer, making sure you're supporting the customer, making sure that that sales funnel that we talked about is basically in that CRM as well, so that you're interacting at the right times, making sure that the sales are going through, the support is there afterwards, everything. So big companies, obviously, they check out a database, and we may say, like, for example, you bought a laptop at Curry's, you bought it home, you realize you bought a Chromebook, and you didn't want a Chromebook, you wanted a Windows. You take it back, you explain the situation, they will type stuff into a computer, and that thing that they're using, the software, is most likely a CRM. It's the customer relationship management. It's you've bought a complaint in, or you got a refund, they would have a section in their CRM for refunds. So it's like, it's not just one specific thing, it's all the circumstances, scenarios for a customer and how they're dealing with that, and it's connected to a server somewhere where all the data has been held. So all that data we were talking about in the session earlier, where you're collecting digital information of customers, that can also be in the CRM. It brings everything together. So it's basically a customer relationship management software. Okay. And it's the strategy and system a business uses to manage its interactions with customers throughout their entire journey. So, for example, us as a company, Think Employment, we have a CRM, and we're using a CRM that's available on the market. But then we've used we're using a customized version of it. So we would have somebody in the company who would customize it for our needs, so that we can manage your journey as a learner, right? So there will always be issues, okay, with any CRM. As you're building it, as you're customizing it, certain things will kind of not be there, but then the feedback from the learner would enable us to add that feature, correct something, make it easier, able for us to be able to track it. All of this is within the CRM. Like, for example, you guys are answering questions on Moodle. The information coming from Moodle would connect to our CRM. Okay, so it's about having an all-in-one solution for your organization where you're managing the customer journey. That's what it is. So a simple logo design allows for easy recognition. And okay, I don't know where that came from. So there's some notes that got a bit confusing. So basically, what it is, there's some tutor notes that are random here, so that's confused me so suddenly. I can't delete it right now, so I'll have to go in and delete it afterwards. So basically, when you're thinking about the process, okay, it's about the people, it's about the process, and it's the technology that helps an organization to build a stronger relationship. So really, if you don't have a CRM, you have a complaint from a customer, you may be saying, okay, we'll call you back, but you don't call them back. Why? Because you forgot. Okay. With the CRM, you're not going to forget. It's going to remind you. Okay. If you've collected feedback, where are you collecting that feedback? If you're collecting on Excel, then how are you using that? Because that Excel spreadsheet might not be connected to other systems. If you're getting that feedback from TripAdvisor, put it onto Excel, Why are you putting on Excel in the first place? What are you going to do with that? Are you going to create a Gantt chart? Are you going to create a pie chart? Are you going to create a pivot table? What are you doing on Excel that is benefiting you as a company with that feedback? Maybe you're looking at stats, right? How many people are satisfied? How many are not? That is silo within Excel. It's not talking to any other system. So it's kind of, unless you take that data out of them, put it somewhere else, it's not going to talk to anything. With a CRM, you'll have a place to put your customer reviews. You'll have a place to put the complaints. You'll have a place where all your customers' data is there, their email addresses, their phone numbers to communicate with them. There may be a chat function where you're directly communicating with them, a place where they can upload their receipts, for example. So, like somebody mentioned earlier about CVs. Okay, so it could be, rather than receipt, it could be CVs that they're uploading. So there'll be functionality within your CRM that enables you to customize it. Rather than using that upload function for receipts, you can use that upload function for CVs. Okay, because that suits your business. So it's very customizable. So what is the difference? Whilst the term CRM is used interchangeably, okay. However, you know, there is a distant difference between CRM strategy and a CRM software. So the software itself needs to be customized, it needs to be changed, and suiting your business. But the strategy we need to understand, okay, because it's a strategy that you'll need to customize your CRM in the first place, okay. So when we look at strategy, you got to think about how you gather the customer data, how it's coming to you. So that could be through ads, it could be through comments, it could be other forms like reviews. How are you going to follow up? Okay. How are you going to respond to the queries? How are you going to follow up on those leads? How are you going to measure the customer satisfaction? Okay. How are you going to manage the complaints? How are you going to retain the loyal customers? So, for example, a customer inquiry comes in, staff log it, follow up after 24 hours, offer a solution, record the outcome, analyze trends monthly. Okay. So, think about when you call up a company, like you've called up, I don't know, your electricity company, right? And you said that, okay, this month I can't pay the full amount. I'd like to go on a payment plan, right? Or maybe you didn't say that. Maybe you said, oh, I'm struggling to pay my bill right now. I've got a couple of letters through the door. I'm just thinking what options I have. What they would do on their side is they would go into the system. They'll first ask you your name, your account number, or something like that. Why? Because they're trying to put your information into a CRM. Okay. Once they put you into the CRM, it'll bring up your account, and then they can look at how many times you paid the bill. How are you a loyal customer? They can look at the options they have. For example, if there is a payment plan option, they'll give you that option. They'll say, "Well, what we can do is we can offer you a payment plan," right? But that CRM will tell them that. Okay, so they don't have to make that decision. It will tell them that this person can be put on a payment plan. So the system is telling them what they can do, and that is managing customer satisfaction. Okay, another thing that you may do is manage complaints. So if you're getting a complaint, if you're logging it into the CRM and it's the same complaint over and over again, you can pull out analytics on that on these subjects of complaints and see where the company is failing, how to improve. Okay. And this, if again, if it was just complaints on the phone and somebody's just writing it on a piece of paper or in Excel, it's not talking to anything. You can't take out that stat and do something with it. So again, CRM is important for these reasons. So CRM process refers to the steps and strategies and activities a business follows to manage its relationships with the customers. It is what the organization does, such as the plan, the workflow, and the way they manage the customer. So the process is strategic, not technical. It describes how the business attracts, interacts, serves, and retains its customer. The process exists even without any software. So if you don't have the software, you can still use the strategy. Okay. Obviously, if you don't have the software and you're living in a digital age, you still use other applications, maybe not a CRM, but you may use Excel, you may use Word, you may use Outlook, so you might use Word to create letters that you want to send out, PDFs, guides, and stuff. You may use Outlook to send emails. All of these are separate applications that you're using, but the strategy is the same. The getting the clear objective, customer segmentation, the customer journey mapping, the data management, technology integration, all of these strategy is still there. Okay. The software itself, there's different companies that are providing the CRM software, and you can make that choice on which one you want to go for, depending on price, depending on support, how long they've been around, and so on. So it is technology used to organize customer information. It stores customer data in one place, helps automate tasks, email reminders, lead tracking, tracks customer interactions and purchase history, provides a dashboard for analytics reports. Think of the process that we were talking about as the as the recipe, and the software as the kitchen appliance. Okay. So the strategy or the process that we're talking about is now in the application. So it's all kind of, rather than using 10 different applications, you're using one. So all in one solution. So CRM software is a technology platform that helps you carry out, automate, or track the process. It is a system you use. It is the tool that supports the strategy. The software is a technology that allows you to organize all of your customer information in one place. So now let's look at the differences to understand. So when we look at the strategy itself, you've got the strategy and the workflow. And when you look at the CRM, you've got the technology and tool. When we're thinking about the strategy, we have to define how the customers are managed. Okay. This could be done manually. You could be putting it into a document. Okay. Putting into a chart, into like a flow chart or something. But again, you need applications to help you to do that, but it could be silo applications. So with CRM software, it helps you to do the managing. And it's very system driven with CRM, whereas the strategy is very people driven. You might have to have a team of people doing different tasks, whereas your CRM is going to do all that for you. So even though it does all that for you, with the CRM, you have like roles interchanging. So a team, rather than having their own kind of roles and responsibilities, with a CRM, they could be doing various things on within the CRM. That's kind of mixing their roles as well, because everything, you have access to everything. Literally, like for example, if I take Think Employment as an example, with our CRM, we have a chat so we can communicate. We have email as well. We have a like a hard drive, not hard drive, but like a cloud storage area. We have all the customer data, which is the learners, all of that in one place. Now, the staff members could help each other in different areas. There's no kind of barrier or different office you need to go to. It's all in one place where communication is happening. If somebody can't help with something, somebody else can. And this is all because there's a central point and it's digital. If it was a physical, without a CRM platform, but you're using the CRM strategy, the customer relationship is still there. Okay, we're still managing customer relationship. It would have to be people driven. So individuals will have different roles and they'll have to do what they do and communicate with each other through email, for example. Okay. So it can, the strategy itself can exist without software. So you can have it on a PowerPoint, you can follow the strategy and you're still managing your customers. Okay. But when it comes to a CRM, it allows you to do that all in one place. It exists only to support the process. The CRM will help you to do all this in one location. So the strategy involves policies, service standards, routines, again, documentation, and all of this may be on a hard drive somewhere, on a server somewhere, but it'll be documentation that you would read. Okay. It'll be statistics that, like reports. Okay, but it still can be done without the software. This before CRM applications existed, people still used the CRM strategy. They still had customer relationship management, but that was done through documentation like policies and statistics and reports that have been pulled off from Excel or Access. With CRM, it involves dashboards, automation, and databases. Most companies nowadays use a CRM, and that's how they're doing it. If they're not using a CRM, this is the um, the change that they need to make. They need to move from the paper documents, the way of working where they're kind of everything's in silo to having it all in one place. Suzanne?
So I guess it's like with the NHS, we use a patient record system. So it's more like a business-based system for customers instead of service users on like a similar basis.
Yeah, so NHS use System 1. Do you still use System 1?
Well, I don't know what everyone else uses. We use something different. We use
Okay.
something called IAPTUS for
Okay.
psychological
All
service.
right. Okay. So when I was with the NHS, we used to use System 1 for patient records and everything, and that was a CRM. It was literally
Right.
an application where you'd have all your patient data, records, all the appointments, everything, and that is a CRM. But if that didn't exist, you still use other applications that do exist, like an Excel spreadsheet, Access, and all this. But they wouldn't talk to each other unless you had it on a SharePoint. Okay. So one of my roles with the NHS was to, as a corporate trainer, I taught people how to use Office, how to use SharePoint, but also information governance. And all of this was done in silo, but SharePoint allowed them to put it all in one location, basically a shared drive. But because SharePoint at that time was like it had its own kind of software and everything, they could share things from there. That's the whole point of it. But it wasn't really a CRM in the sense that if you think about information governance, then that patient data needs to be secure. Okay.
Mm.
Now, if it's security that you're concerned about, you wouldn't put it on a like a place where it may go to X, Y, and Z, right? Without any safety net. So you'd have to be careful if you're moving things from a document into another document, and it gets a bit complicated, especially when people are taking things onto a pen drive, moving around. You don't know where that data is. So people had to go from understanding that they can have anything on their computer to, okay, you put it all on the SharePoint in that application and you share from here, and you don't make any change. If you do make any changes, you don't make a copy, you make it on the original so everybody can see. And now we see Google Drive and all of these other, we had OneDrive, we had Dropbox. So these shared applications is kind of the initial stage of some of the applications we're seeing today where everything's built in, like CRM software that we've got the email integration, the chat, all these functionalities are in one place. Even the information governance side, the security side is there. Okay, the certain access that you can give to certain people, all of that is in there. Okay, so it makes it really easy. So CRMs are used by a lot of organizations. NHS use CRMs, but they may have their own custom name. The way it works different to everyone else. But when you look at what platform they're actually using, you'll see some common names that are out there, and it's a service provided. Okay, so the main thing is the customer journey. The focus is on customer journey for a CRM strategy. But when it comes to CRM software, the focus is on data management and productivity. Okay. So that's a key difference to understand as well, because the strategy fits into the CRM software. Okay. So without the software, you can still focus on the customer journey, but what you won't be able to focus on is data management. Because if you're not using an application like a CRM software, everything's in one place, then obviously you can't manage your data properly, right? Productivity is not there. Yeah. So without this CRM software, you're missing out on these things. But the strategy itself is still to follow the customer journey. So what I'm saying is by using an application, that customer journey can be improved by using data properly and managing it properly and being more productive. So it's basically an improvement on a strategy that existed for a long, long time. So just missed the slide there. Just bear with me. So why CRM exists? Okay, so think about the apps and services that you use every day. They every day. So basically, think about your personal experiences. Okay, so CRM exists because customers are now expecting things faster. So when we're on an application, any application like on your phone, we expect it to be fast, right? We also expect it to be personalized. So customers want businesses to remember them, and a CRM helps that. So you don't actually have to remember your customer, the CRM does that for you. Okay. So as a user of an application or service, you would like them to remember you, right? It makes you feel good. Like when I do social marketing, I used to do a lot on Facebook. And one thing I used to do is basically have communication with all my followers. And I used to do that through Facebook Messenger. Now, one thing that I used to do is not delete that conversation. I used to always keep the conversation. It slowed things down a bit for my messenger because there were so many conversations, but Facebook improved that over time. But every single conversation was there and I didn't delete any of it. So even if I had a conversation with somebody 6 months ago, a year ago, the conversation is still there and I could go, well, as soon as I go and click on that person, I can see our previous conversation. So when I continue to talk to them after 6 months or a year, I would read what we previously talked about and remind myself about what's going on in their life and so on, and ask, be more human. Like, for example, if somebody's dad passed away, and obviously at that time I would, give my condolences, talk, help, support, and whatever. 6 months later, I talk to them again. You know, I know where their mindset was at that time and how it is now. I would ask like, how you getting on? How's things with family? I'd ask about, how to, have you been able to kind of, you know, move on a little bit. How do you feel now? Because the situation they're in and the losses they've had, and you can continue that conversation in a human way. But if you've lost that communication, okay, you deleted it, then you've forgotten what happened in their life. You may say something that is not appropriate. You may say something that is you're not being sensitive, okay, and that would affect your customer relationship, right? So that's me using a CRM. Basically, I'm using a function of CRM, right? But doing it in Messenger. So you can see the need of a CRM application there. But because none exists, I'm doing it anyway because I see the benefit of keeping that conversation. Now, if I was using a CRM, then the application itself would have that record. Okay. It will be easier for me to manage that. I could put comments in there when I should go and talk to them again, whether they're a hot lead, a cold lead, a person that may be interested, not interested. I can put all these comments in. I can manage my customer journey, right? So as a result of that, it makes it more personalized. On the receiving end, the user will find it actually impressive that, this company actually cares. This individual actually remembers me, remembers my last conversation, understands who I am, hasn't forgotten my name. Yeah, hasn't forgotten when my birthday is. It's actually saying happy birthday. Like Facebook, it reminds you when your friend's birthday is coming up, right? Um, and because it does that for everybody, it's common knowledge and everybody knows that feature exists. It's kind of watered down. Okay, so when you say happy birthday, yes, somebody will say thank you so much, appreciate it, but you kind of know that they've been reminded and they're just trying to connect with you, probably to sell you something later on, right? So it waters it down a little bit. But with software like CRM software, it would have the birthdays, it would have certain occasions, and the customer doesn't know that where you're getting it, how you're getting that information. Well, obviously they've provided it, but if you have a really smooth system that does what it needs to do, then the experience the customer has will be fast, it will be very personalized, and it will give the customer what they need. So customers want businesses to remember them, and the CRM helps create consistent experiences. It helps businesses to understand customer behavior so that marketing can be tailored. And it's all about that personalization. Like earlier on, one of the learners had an issue, okay, regarding some sessions. Now, if I log that into a CRM and somebody else picks up, the relevant person picks it up, then that's efficiency. What I did was I went into a CRM, I opened a chat, and I talked directly to the individual who can help. And then they are also using the same CRM. They asked for the name of the learner. I basically provided the name of the learner. And then they are using the same system to find information on the learner to see how they can support. Right? So you can see we're using the same system, functions within the same system, but from the learner's perspective, as long as that issue has been resolved, they're happy. How we're solving that issue has to be efficient, and that efficiency is going to come from a CRM, that customer relationship management software. So the main purpose of a CRM is to create stronger, more profitable customer relationship by improving customer experience, increasing loyalty and supporting long-term business growth. If your customer feels understood and valued, they stay longer and spend more. Okay, so if your customer is having a good experience, they'll obviously use the services again, they'll spend more money, but it's about managing those customers and not make, like I've had events where we've printed paper documents, like paper feedback forms, right? The first time on the event, um 30, 40 sheets of paper, questions, answer, like places where they can put their answer. We had to provide pens, and there was the person at the door who was supposed to get the feedback didn't do their job, started having conversations, ended up having only 6 or 7 feedback forms filled in. Afterwards, when I collected the feedback, I realized, hang on a minute, why did I do that? Because it's all paper now, it's all written work. What do I do with this now? Okay. It's like, how do I use this? How do I utilize this? Because it's physical, it's on paper. I'm gonna have to type it up now. Okay, or I have to scan it, So I didn't think it through. Next event, what did I do? I got more innovative, right? So I created a QR code, laminated it, had it on the desk on the front. Okay, told the individual, all you do is get them to scan, it'll go to a Google form, they need to fill that in. Once they fill that in, they'll get a code, and once they get the code, you give them a raffle ticket, let them go in with an ID badge, right? It was smoother, and I managed to collect data, right, through a Google form. And I also got them to join a group, like a WhatsApp group. So efficiency is there now, but that Google form has now got that data, but what does that do now with that data? It's still a silo unless you connect it to a CRM. Okay. That will then go into CRM, and then you can manage that. Because now what's happened with that second event, I got a Google form with everybody's answers to my questions, but I haven't visited the Google form after that. Right? I haven't done anything with it. It's just sitting there. The WhatsApp group's got all these people in there, but I'm not posting in there. Okay. I posted a few times, but most of the time there's no communication. So what is it giving for the customer? The experience is like, well, I joined this group, but there's no interaction, there's nothing there. If you had it connected to a CRM and somebody is having a conversation, that conversation is recorded. If there is no communication, it would actually flag up that somebody needs to communicate, keep that lively, and you can basically customize it to do that. So if it passes X amount of time with no communication within this group, create a notification for somebody to go and post in there, right? So you're building that relationship, you're providing information in there, but also that information from Google, the Google form can now go onto a Google Analytics page and see who answered what, who needs to be followed up on as an interested customer. All of that is like, it's money on the table that you're not using, right? It's information, data you're not using. So again, if you don't understand how the different parts, different applications can be connected, then you're not going to utilize data. And that's what CRMs do. It brings everything together: forms, chat functionality, databases, uploads of documents, videos, training material, everything you need for your business. So if we carry on, why do businesses use CRM? So it's to keep all customer data in one place: names, emails, purchase history, support requests, marketing interactions. So what I was talking about about that WhatsApp group is marketing interactions, building relationships. Improve communication by sending personalized messages. You literally, with your CRM, you can you can grab the first name from the list of the database where you got all the names. You can get the date of birth, you can get everything personalized into an email, but you didn't even write the email. It just had certain areas that it filled in from the data that it has. So that improves communication because it seems more personalized, and the responses are quick to inquiries because there's no bottleneck. There's no information in one location that's not talking to information in another location. So automate the marketing and the sales tasks, such as follow-up emails, reminders, and promotional campaigns, understanding the customer behavior so that they can make better decisions about product, services, and marketing strategies. So again, analytics. And these days, CRM software also has AI integrated. So the whole workflow talking to each other is even more customized and it's even more automated. Okay, so it gets more efficient. So you can see how businesses will fall behind if they are depending on old traditional methods, right? I've worked for a company where literally all the learners are, filling in workbooks, like paper document workbooks, right? And then, there's different offices around different locations. So to get those marked, you have to send it. Like once you've marked it, you have to send it somewhere else for them to, do the IQA. Now to send it, how do I send it? Well, they're paper documents, so I had to scan them all. And when you scan them all, now you forgot to put the registration number. What are you gonna have to do? You have to delete it off the system, the scanned documents. You have to write the registration number again, scan it again. And by the time you scanned it once, all the papers all kind of, they're not straight. They're all kind of bent and everything because the scanning machine kind of took them really rough. So it's like you have to unstaple it, staple it. It's very cumbersome, tedious, not efficient way of doing it because you're mixing an old traditional way of doing things, and they're still used filing cabinets, right? As well as a system where like they use well, it wasn't even a CRM, but there was a lot of issues, right? And those issues is because somebody somewhere in the organization didn't sit down and think, hang on a minute, we are losing time, we're losing money, we need to find a better system, right? We need to find a system that works, and students can fill in a workbook because they can do it online, and they may have to talk to somebody somewhere in the education sector to get that approval, but that's how they need to move forward, right? So joining Think Employment, having a great CRM system, I know some of you still have issues here and there, but at least we can solve them. We can progress because the CRM will enable us to do that. Okay, so we can learn from issues that we have, and for future learners, it will get better and better. Okay, that's how any company would work with the CRM. They will find bottlenecks, they'll find issues, they'll solve it. But it's because it's all in one place. The communication is there, and that is key. When I find an issue from like a learner, they're struggling with something, I would forward it to the right person. Delegate. Okay, if I can't solve it, I'll delegate. Now, if I was doing that through email, then I would depend on that person opening that email. That might be delayed. But if I've got a chat system on a CRM, that's instant. I can also see if that person's online or if they're busy. Yeah. So there's lots of functionality there that you're used to on other platforms that would be integrated within a CRM as well. And that's why businesses use it. It's all about merging the marketing efforts and the business processes as well to be able to identify, pursue, and manage valuable customer relationships. So not only are you selling to the customers, you're also managing your business through the CRM. Okay. So carrying on. Okay, so this image actually shows you some CRMs that are out there. Okay, so you can see Microsoft's Dynamics CRM, you can see Zoho, you can see Pipedrive. So there's quite a few there that you can research into as well to get better ideas. You can go to their About page, you can learn about them and look at the differences. So take the next 10 minutes to explore a few different CRM software tools. That image gives you some idea of what the names are. So I want you to make notes of what you looked at. So what tools you looked at. Say you chose Zoho. Make a note of that, the name, okay, the key features and functions of it, and how those features could support and improve a customer journey. Okay, so don't get mixed up with CMS. CMS is different. CMS is content management system. Okay, it manages content. Okay, so the BBC, when I worked for the BBC, they had a content management system. All of their articles, videos, and everything was managed on that system. So I would upload my article, I would upload a video that would then be published, and it would go onto the BBC News website. That was a CMS. It wasn't a application where I could communicate with other journalists or I could get analytics. None of that. Okay, so there's a difference between the CMS, managing content, okay, and the CRM. Okay, so just make sure you don't choose the wrong thing. But there are quite a few examples there. Okay, once you've found your CRM that you want to focus on and learn about it, say it's Monday.com or Zoho, you learn about it, the key features, just kind of bullet point them and share it in the group. Okay, and then we'll have a conversation about what you found. So you've got 10 minutes to do this. I'll put myself in mute and go silent while you do that, and I'll keep an eye on the chat. Right, so there's lots of really valuable information in the chat. Make sure you utilize it. If you're coming across any names that you haven't heard of, just make a list, or you can Google it and bookmark it for later. You can also take a screenshot of the chat if you like. Okay. Right, so if we look at some examples of CRMs, just bear with me a sec. Okay, examples are HubSpot, Monday.com, Salesforce, Zoho, and I think you've all touched on some of these. Okay, let me just get the right slide. Just bear with me. 3 elements of CRM. So collaboration, very important. Operational for business, and analytical. Okay, so there's 3 parts of a CRM. So when you're looking at CRM, you've got to think about, is it going to allow me to collaborate with my team efficiently? Like, does it have real-time communication, like chats, for example? Is email integrated within it? Does it have like a shared drive, things like that to collaborate? Is it operational? Like, does it have those functions? And is it analytical? So we're going to look at each of these elements individually. So by connecting different teams through shared systems, collaborative CRM removes silos and ensures that important customer details never get lost or repeated. For example, if a customer reports an issue with the service and to the service team, the sales team can instantly see this information before making contact. The consistent, joined up communication leads to a faster problem solving and a more personalized service. Another key benefit of collaborative CRM is the use of automated communication tools. So, for example, emails, reminders, and messaging systems that help the business to stay in touch with the customers without relying on staff to send everything manually. This frees up time and resources, and it allows the employees to focus on providing a higher quality support and build a stronger relationship. It also helps reduce the cost of streamlining tasks and eliminating unnecessary repetition. Okay, so collaboration is a big part of a CRM. Operational. So the key benefits of operational CRM is that every customer interaction is automatically recorded. All of the history, any communication with the customers, everything's recorded. So whether a customer sends an email, makes a purchase, asks a question on a live chat, or phones the business, the CRM captures that information and stores it in one central location. This means that the staff members can quickly access the up-to-date information on the customer details from any device, helping the organization respond faster and more accurately. Operational CRM goes beyond front-end interactions. With smart implementation, the system can also support back office processes by integrating the other essential business tools such as payment system, accounting platforms, and stock inventory management, marketing automation, and more. So you could have other parts of your business integrated within the CRMs with plugins or other methods where you're kind of with an API, for example, you can connect different parts of it, like the supply chain, for example, or the payments system. So all of that comes to operational. So the whole business is basically operating using that CRM. Analytical. So by studying customer preferences, engagement levels, buying behavior, and responses to previous campaigns, businesses can identify what works and what doesn't. It allows them to refine the messaging, the targeting, the right audience, choose suitable platforms, and schedule campaigns for maximum impact. Over time, this leads to more efficient marketing and better return on investment. Customer retention, for example, data analysis helps organizations to understand why the customers stay and why they leave. By monitoring satisfaction levels, service interactions, repeat purchases, and complaints, businesses can identify early warning signs of customer dissatisfaction. This gives them a chance to intervene proactively, for example, offering personalized support, loyalty rewards, or improved services, which increases customer loyalty and lifetime value. Also, you've got behavioral analysis. So behavioral data reveals how customers interact with the business across different touch points, such as the website, your social media, email, and in-store visits. Analyzing these patterns help businesses predict the future customer actions. For example, spotting when a customer is likely to make a purchase, abandon a basket, or need support. So even before they do these actions, you can get that kind of signal and you know what to do. So this insight helps organizations tailor their approach and provide a more personalized, relevant experience. So it's basically about making a personalized a decision on and providing that personalized experience. The decision making, obviously, you're going to have to take action, and that customer data provides the evidence, not guesswork. So you're not guessing, okay, I'll do this and hope that the customers are happy. You're actually basing your decisions on evidence. So by analyzing key metrics and trends, businesses can make decisions based on what customers actually do rather than what they assume. This supports more accurate planning, management of risk, and a clear strategy on areas like product development, pricing, service improvements, and resource allocation. So all the analysis that you would do, say, on Google Analytics, you can do on the CRM. You can even connect to Google Analytics platforms or social media platform analytics. You can even import that information in. It can connect to these social platforms. So you have all your social platforms and their data in one place, so you can see the whole picture. Advantages and disadvantages. CRM systems offer powerful opportunities for businesses to improve customer relationship, streamline process, and make better decisions. That is the advantage. However, like any tool, it comes with both advantages and disadvantages, and we need to consider that. So when we're looking at advantages, obviously, we talked about a few of them: improved organization, better customer communication, increased sales opportunities, and strong loyalty. This is something that we can focus on by providing that personalized experience. Okay, so the communication wise, it's about personalized communication, making them feel, valued, looking at the history of purchases, tracking their preferences, tweaking our website, tweaking our sales campaign based on customer information. Satisfied customers are more likely to return. They appreciate being listened to and understood, and CRMs help a business to give that faster response and give that consistent service and less mistakes and missed inquiries. When it comes to increased sales and conversions, basically the CRM, you're directly supporting the sales team. So the sales team obviously making the sale, but then you have to think of any upsells. You got to think of how a potential customer could slip through the cracks. So if you're tracking leads, like customers who haven't bought but are likely to buy, okay, maybe after seeing a few more products or maybe another visit to the website, you can keep track of them, and it helps you to target ideal customers. And also your persona that you were creating, you can even put that persona within some CRMs where your ideal customer profile is there, and you're segregating or segmenting your customers within the CRM as well. So that can also be done. And then your products for upselling, your whole sales funnel, you can see that visually on certain CRMs as well. So talked about analytics. So a CRM will allow you to see all the data, track the data, the performance, see the places where you're basically losing time or money, and then correct that, basically provide a more effective service. And all this leads to basically decisions that are strategic and best placed. They're not guessed. Okay, so you're providing decisions, you're making decisions based on real data. The disadvantages is the cost. Obviously, these platforms cost money. Staff training, people need to be trained on these platforms. If you introduce a new system and suddenly say, okay, we're not going to work like this anymore, we're going to use a new system, there'll be a lot of people who will say, oh, no, I don't want a new system. I like how I work, because they're used to it. They're in their comfort zone. So staff training is very important. And a lot of these platforms come with training material, come with support. So it makes it easier. But still, you need some individuals within the company that have gone through all that material, understand how the platform works, so they can train the trainer, and then that person would go and train everybody else. It literally has to be everybody working on the same platform. So if somebody makes a mistake, it can be fixed, but there has to be a certain mindset with working with CRMs as well, because nothing's going to be perfect. There's always going to be issues, but if you work as a team, within the whole organization works as a team using the same platform, there should be this mindset that if somebody's struggling, someone else can always help. Okay, so there's teamwork that needs to be done, because if somebody's not trained up properly or does not understand how to do something, they're going to create issues within the CRM that's going to impact other people's work. So that training is very important, but the after support as well from team members is important. So you have to be supportive of each other. If you know how to do something someone else doesn't, you need to help them out. You could get on a video call, and even that could be a part of your CRM, that where from within the CRM you're getting on a video call, and that call can then be shared within the greater team so that everybody has that information. So it's all about collaboration, really. Data maintenance, so obviously all your data is sitting in the same location, so it's secure. You know it's secure. You're not losing data. Everything's versioned off, so you know which one's the latest version, which one isn't. So all of that is within the system as well. But if you think of the data itself, you have to learn about how to secure that data, right? And that can be a disadvantage if the planning isn't there and you're not sure how to maintain the data, right? Because you're putting it all in one place, okay? And sometimes this one location could be your local drive. So ideally, what you want is a CRM that is connected to a cloud system that basically secures it. So it could be a third party, it could be Google, could be AWS, Amazon, but you're putting all your data secure in another location, not keeping it centrally within your organization. Because if you don't have that experience and knowledge of keeping that information secure, it only needs one person to access the same database, and they've got access to everything. When you look at information governance for the NHS, for example, having one system where all the data is stored, if they're not trained on security, then they're going to have hacks, they're going to have all sorts of issues because it's just one system. Okay, and that's the disadvantage of using one system. Like all the data is in one place, so literally if you're not securing it, if somebody gets access to get access to everything. Potential resistance to change, and that's what I was talking about earlier. If people are used to something, doing something all the time, they're going to be a bit resistant to that change. But that's where the training comes in. Okay, if they see the advantages, the best as a trainer, the way I would put it forward is it makes your life better. Okay, so it increases efficiency. Where you're losing time, it's causing you stress, that's going to be a lot better. And that's how you have to approach it with staff members and show them the benefits of using the CRM, because there's always going to be people who are going to talk negatively about change. So these slides just go through each one that I've gone through. Cost, you may have a monthly subscription. There's training requirements that you may have to bring trainers in to do it. Setup and migration, again, you may have to bring somebody in who has technical know-how to set it all up. And there's cost and time with that. Data quality issues, version control. CRMs are effective when data is correct. If the information going in is wrong, then the CRM cannot provide accurate insights. Good input provides good output. Okay, so the issues include outdated data, which can cause mistakes, incomplete data creates gaps, and poor data entry reduces accuracy. So it's only as good as its users. If your CRM is not being used properly and people are slacking, then there's going to be issues, right? And that's why you have to keep on top of things, and you have to have the right training as well. Resistant to change, again, that is something that I've just explained, but advanced tools can overwhelm beginners. Okay, training provides that solution, requires regular updates. That I've seen in past organizations, I've seen that as a problem with CRMs that always have updates. So there was a CRM, I used to actually work for a funeral company, very short period of time because they had a lot of issues. They had a CRM that was developed in Australia for Australia, but they basically got that software and was using it for their company within the UK. The company in Australia was not supporting them. Okay, so they needed to basically figure out how they can use the CRM, but they didn't have the ability to customize it the way they wanted to. So they had to make use of what they had. The company that actually developed it, they did updates every week, like literally every week there was an update, and every time there was an update, things changed. And because things changed, the people who were using it in that company, they were not trained for the new changes. So there was all these issues, right? And that is mismanagement. That is not being able to choose the right software, not being able to customize and exist, and also where that software came from, who's created it, is it right for the business? All of these things that whoever made that decision to bring that software into that company in the first place didn't consider some of these issues, right? So that is important and understand. Regular requires regular updates. That is a requirement, but the company that's created the software needs to understand that these updates cannot interfere with the process of the business, right? It should not interfere, and there should be an advance notice, right? So this can be an issue. Another, because again, it's a resistant to change, because if you get an update, then it's going to be frustrating for people that just train themselves, or now they're going to have to learn new things again and again and again, right? Can be misused without proper training. Again, that's easy to understand. If you don't know how to use something, or you don't know the rules and regulations, you might misuse it. You might take data off it. You might take it for your own benefits. And that kind of things can go into legal issues as well, because you're giving access to everybody. That's where you have to have access control. Certain individuals who don't need access to something they don't need access, basically. Literally, you just take them out that part of the system. So access control is also important. Okay, so I've got a task for you. Okay, but we're going to do this task after a break. So let's have a break. And if you come back for 2 o'clock, okay, so it's 1:48. So you got a nice 12-minute break. After that, we'll do a task. Okay, and it's basically to understand the pros and cons. It's good. So task for you now, what we need to do is basically think about what we were talking about with CRMs, okay, and think about the pros and cons. Okay, so we've covered some benefits and some disadvantages and advantages, but think of your own experience of CRMs. Okay, it could be as a customer or a consumer. Just think about the pros and cons of it. Okay, see if you can think of something that I haven't covered yet and put it into the chat. Right, some really good stuff going on the chat there. I like one comment from somebody. Let me find it again. From a customer point of view, a good CRM feels like going into a coffee shop and they remember your name and favorite drink. Yep. That is exactly how it is. It's basically making the customer feel special, okay? And also being able to assist the customer quickly. So recently, I've had the experience of calling up De Montfort University for a relative that I'm kind of helping out, and basically an international student. So every time I call, there's a different person on the line, and I have to explain the whole thing again and again, and I just don't understand why that is. Obviously, they've got a system. If I give the student number, they should be able to pull out the details, right? But I just by listening to the voice, it feels like a lot of these people that answer the phone are students themselves who work on the admission side. And there seems to be a lack of communication or an issue with the system where they can't keep track of certain emails, or and that does not look good for a university, does it? So training is very important. Okay. Now, some of you have put other things, so let's go through the list. Right. Let's see. Let's just pick a few. Okay, accessibility. Afidi saying accessibility is a key necessity for me. I directly collaborate with a deaf artist and produce materials that have BSL signage and data. Okay, so obviously, if a CRM provides that support and understands that the customer base is diverse and there's some accessibility needs, that would be amazing, right? Especially for your organization, right? So you would maybe, if I was in your position, I would probably call up their support, call up their customer service before purchasing, and explain the need and see how they can actually provide a solution for you, right? And I'll just won't call just one. I'll get in touch with a few companies that are providing CRMs as their product, and I'll explain to them what my needs are because it's very specialized or very specific, and see how they're supporting. And obviously, certain applications also can have plugins, add-ons. So that is something else to consider as well. So accessibility, if it's big for you, then you need to kind of find out if there's that support before you make any purchase, because that is a massive customer need, and you need to be able to communicate as well. Okay, security risk can be data overload for some individuals, can be a learning curve. Yep. On a positive note, it's a knowledge base. So it's a centralized knowledge base as well. On a disadvantage, it's a steep learning curve. Okay, another disadvantage, human error, where data is put in wrong when the customer's record. Yep. Success is reliant on choosing the right CRMs, clear strategies, and strong training. Correct. Yeah. Again, Suzanne, it's about training. And basically, if somebody's not using it properly, how do you deal with that? Do you take them off the system? Do you provide more training? If they're actually got the training and they're still not using it properly, there has to be obviously some kind of communication with that individual and explain to them that what is the issue, why they're doing it like that, and what issues is it causing for the organization as well. Because everything's tracked and you can see who's doing what, which it makes it a lot easier to find out the culprits within the organization that's causing issues, because it doesn't benefit anyone. But that's good. It's nice to see all of you going through different benefits, advantages, disadvantages of CRMs, and it gives us a better understanding as well. I'm going to share with you a document that you can save. Just bear with me a second. Let me just bring that up. Okay, so you can download that as an additional resource as well. Just some advantages and disadvantages listed there as well. Okay, right. So let's go back to the presentation. One second. Let me just close down Zoom. Right, so we're going to look at CRM a little bit more. Okay, so CRM use in marketing. So when we're thinking about marketing, it's basically the ability to put forms on your website, capture leads. Once they sign up, you can track the users from your website, tailor the product to the service user. You can do email marketing. So you'll get the email from the form. You can go straight into your CRM. An automated email can be sent out, and that could be like a email series that nurtures your leads. Then the social media can kick in. CRMs also use social media auto posters, so it can post automatically on your social platforms. Creating a social media calendar, that can be done on your CRM as well. If you connect it with Canva, it could even pull your content from Canva. And what I'm seeing nowadays is AI is doing a lot of this as well. So AI is doing the automation part of connecting the CRM with the social platforms, with the website. Everything's connected through AI as well. So no doubt a lot of these CRMs will integrate AI and allow the company to take advantage of automation. But without the automation side, without artificial intelligence, there's still automation in CRM. And that is because everything's in one place. It doesn't have to go out and look for things. A lot of it's inside. So it's basically connecting different parts of the same system. But there are other forms of automation that does not require artificial intelligence. For example, SMS automation. So you're using SMS as part of the nurture sequence. So it sends out emails, but it also sends out SMS as well, automatically. And you can set the dates when they get out. So scheduled sales calls, built-in phone calls to nurture the sequence. Okay. So you can have side by side emails going out. You can have phone calls at certain points. You can have SMS going out. Obviously, you don't want to overdo it. So everything has to be timed. But with CRM, you can integrate with your website, do the email marketing, do the social media automation, SMS automation, and the sales calls. All of those is a part of the marketing, and that is within CRM. So what I've seen is CRMs which we have like on the left hand side, they have different functionalities or different departments, and one of them is say marketing, and you click into that and you see all the marketing functions. In Wix, you'll see similar layout where they have a marketing section, and if you click on that, it gives you all the marketing options like social media, email marketing. So it's a similar layout, and how Wix is put together is taking parts of its design from CRMs, taking like Teams. It's taking parts of its design from WordPress, from other, platforms that are working with design. So design wise, Wix is basically doing the right thing, and it's got AI automation as well. But is it a CRM? It's not a CRM. Okay, it's basically a content management system for websites. That's what it is. It manages your content for the website, and it allows you to do different integrations and different things with various things. Could it be a CRM as well? Mm, I'm not sure, okay, if it can actually become a CRM, but a CRM can definitely integrate Wix. It can pull that in from Wix, okay, so they can talk to each other. How CRMs work for organizations and customers. So it's basically a centralized data hub. It's one place where all the data is kept. It improves the workflow management, like how people are doing the tasks, following up, assigning responsibilities, tracking, monitoring. Um, Everything's basically there, like on a database, but on a dashboard as well, visually. So the marketing, the sales, the customer service, all of that can be actioned, and you can also have conversations about it using the chat feature. Consistent updates, so staff can be updated with notes in real time. It reduces miscommunication. You can have one group in the chat where everybody's there in that group, so they're all kind of communicating. It can keep that social atmosphere as well. So for social gatherings, CRMs can work with that as well, and some organizations do that because it's a healthy way of working where you have a chat room for all employees to be in there and just kind of chat about things that's not related to work. It could be just saying good morning, just saying it's a nice day. So just like comment on various things around the industry, maybe not work related, maybe. So it's kind of a more informal chat, and that's good for the health of the employees. They just feel better. They get to know each other as well, because it can be a social place as well for the people who are working with that CRM. It's all a part of the business and how you want to create. It's basically very customizable, so you can do whatever your organization needs. When we're talking about customer service, there's certain things that CRM can do that is ideal for customer service specifically. For example, having customer profiles, which is like the customer persona. Um, but then again, it's like if you've got clients, it could be just their details, everything you have on that customer. So service staff instantly access contact details, previous issues, purchase history, and preference. All the history of that customer is on the CRM. It reduces repetition. So basically, customers don't need to repeat themselves because all the notes and records are stored centrally. That's what I was talking about at university. Like literally, if you're using a good CRM, you should be able to pull up all the past communication, anything that's to do with previous calls, everything, which then leads to faster resolution, right? So staff can see past actions, can see solutions, help them resolve, regardless of who picked the phone up last, they can continue that. Okay. And a lot of call centers, they do have CRMs that enable them to do that. So service consistency, very important. It ensures every customer receives the same high quality service, and it's regardless of who handles the query. And also those calls are recorded and they're probably into the CRM, and then a manager probably, if there's an issue, a staff member was rude, they can pull the recording, they can hear how the call went and what was going wrong. So all of that monitoring is done as well. So tracking issues, CRM systems log cases or tickets, the whole ticketing systems, because a lot of this you would have had to purchase, like a ticketing system. You can purchase the ticketing system, but now you don't have to because it's in your CRM. So allowing monitoring of response times, outcomes, and follow-ups as well to see how everything's progressing. Are people being followed up on, or where are we going wrong? Are we losing customers? Okay, so you can find all that on the CRM. So you can think of how frustrating it is when you phone a company and have to explain the same thing again and again, With CRMs, it prevents that. Customer service teams can see every interaction, making a response quicker and more personalized. CRMs in sales, when you're talking about sales, so we looked at customer service, we looked at marketing. When it comes to sales, it's basically a place where you can identify the buyer journey. Okay, so the buying journey from the first contact to the actual purchase. So this is the sales pipeline, and it's basically the sales funnel. So it shows each step of the sales process and highlights bottlenecks, where they're dropping off, where it's like it's not happening anymore, the customer's disappeared. You can see all of that because of the data that you've collected on your CRM. So automated follow-ups, reminding, say like when somebody's added something to a cart and they haven't purchased, you could have a reminder that could be sent from the CRM. Staffs can call for staff to call the actual individual, email them, or check with prospects. Because if you've built up to a point where they are potential customers, but then you never follow up, you're going to lose that customer. They're going to go somewhere else because they were hot leads. They were going to buy, they need it, but you just didn't follow up, so they went somewhere else. Okay, and you can track that. You can see there's customers there, but nobody followed up. That's where we're losing customers, and then you would basically see how to solve that. So prioritizing leads as well is very important. Obviously, worked hard for those leads and giving them priority is important, and then their performance, how you're performing with your sales, that can all be tracked. CRM in marketing, when we look at segmentation, segmenting, you can do that in the CRM. You can basically have different groups of customers within your CRM. You can have targeted campaigns. So your social media campaigns that you're doing on Trello, maybe Trello can connect with your CRM. So you can pull all that information in. Okay. So, or you could take things from your CRM into Trello onto your cards, right? So that's another thing that's useful. And then automation, emails, SMS messages, social media campaigns, triggering actions, or triggering automations based on customer actions. Okay. behavior tracking as well. So marketers can see which customers are clicking on certain things, where they're engaging, all of that in CRMs. Okay. So literally, like a lot of things that we've learned about in these sessions can be done on a CRM. So it's like an all-in-one solution, which is why it's, people are willing to pay a lot of money for these platforms, because it brings everything together. So marketing teams rely on CRMs to move away from generic one-size-fits-all messaging. With CRM, they can target specific groups with content that speaks directly to their needs. This significantly increases the engagement and return on investment. For the customer, it's basically fast response times, personalized interactions, more accurate service, consistent experience, and seamless communication. So CRM and personalization, basically, because we're connecting to data, collecting all this data, you're looking at the data, you're able to look at the habits, the behaviors, the different requests they're making, the communication patterns, and then you're tailoring the recommendations according to that. Automated personalization, emails and offers that can be adapted based on customer action. So you're not just sending blanket emails, and you're not just sending a series of emails. You're customizing the email depending on what the customer is doing, how they're reacting to certain marketing that you're doing, right? So that personalization is important. And again, it's with CRMs that is possible, okay? Because you're tracking how customers are doing, how they're behaving with your website, for example, and your emails are responding to that. So predictive behavior is from their past interactions with your platforms, and you're predicting what they're going to do next. When are they dropping off? When are they buying? All of this, and it leads to higher engagement. It also builds trust. Okay, so customers, who trust your service because it works, it's seamless, you're getting responses quickly, it's reliable record keeping, that transparency, that professionalism, that reduced frustration, obviously it's going to help to build the loyalty. And then when we look at CRM and service quality, because every department is connected and they're working with each other, okay, they can also see the same customer's history. They can also pass on to another. So, for example, if you call a customer support line and then they need to escalate it to the manager, they can literally do it on the CRM. Or if they need to send you to another department, they'll do that on the CRM. If they're logging in information, you say you've explained everything to somebody, but it was the wrong department, they'll still listen to it. They'll still write everything down, but then they'll say that if you hold on, we'll connect you to the right department. You don't have to repeat yourself. They will literally send that whole log to somebody else. That call log will go to the right department and they will pick it up from there. So they'll read it. So while you're on the line and you're listening to the music, most likely they've already passed it on. The other person processing the information, taking it in. Once they've understood it, they'll answer the call and they'll deal with it. So from your business side, you have to give the customer a good experience. Now, if somebody's holding on the phone, then that service quality can be poor if they're holding for a long time. Okay, so even that has to be monitored. So how long has the customer been on the call waiting for somebody to respond? Even that can be logged into the CRM to see if it's a bottleneck. Okay, so service level monitoring, efficient problem solving, data lead improvements, and also better aftercare. So was the customer satisfied at the end of the call? Usually they say, if you don't mind, we really appreciate if you fill in a form, or that we'll send to your email, or they may say that just answer a few questions after the call. Most people don't, but the reason they're asking for that is that, again, is feedback that they can take and put into their system to improve their system. Okay, so if you think about customer benefits of a CRM, okay, so let's think about customer benefits. We've all had the experience of CRMs, okay? I want you to think about a time when you had an experience of a CRM and share it with us, whether it's good or bad. Okay. I know some of you done it on chat already, but this time I want you to come on the mic and just share your experience. It could be when you called a call center or whatever. Okay. So let's see who wants to come and share their experience. Just put your hand up. Go on, Afidi.
Yeah, I was actually struck as a customer that last bit you mentioned about the customer service thing. One thing that I've noticed is that it's only when I've had pretty much only when I've had a really good experience with the customer service operative and they've been really helpful and I've thanked them and then they said, "Hey, could you do me a favor and fill out the form?" Which is fine, I do that. But I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed that it's never when it's a horrible experience. So I don't know if it's not something which is maybe randomly or universally enforced, the
Mm,
feedback might not still be like for example, the council has feedback saying that 98% of the tenants are really happy with the service. Now I know that's not a true reflection of how people actually feel.
mm.
So that's an aspect which I'm interested in.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I get the feeling that it's to do with commission or something like that. They get brownie points or something like that.
Mm.
So I don't unless they've been exceptionally good and they've really solved all my problems and they've been really good and I want to reward them, I wouldn't fill it in because it's time. If somebody's asking you for the time to
Oh,
do that, right?
I don't mind doing that. I mean, it's normally over the phone, like the sort of survey thing. I don't mind
Mm,
because I've been a customer service operative, and like I say, if somebody's done a really good job,
yeah.
I don't mind taking that time to help them. But what I've said, let's say for example, this is a perfect example. In one specific day, I've called up. The first person was garbage, really horrible, really unhelpful.
Mm,
I don't argue with people. I'll put the phone
mm,
down and I'll call back and say the second person is completely different and solve the
yeah.
problem. Then
Mm,
they'll be the one to say hey, could you fill out the form? And sometimes they even say, like, I'll say, well, the guy before you was really terrible. And they say, no, you can only sort of discuss the most recent person. And like I say, it's never the difficult ones who then say, anyway, do you want to fill out a form? That never happens that way. So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So it's obviously like, it's not compulsory that they say that. They have a choice, and it seems like, if if they've done really good or they think they're gonna get a good feedback, then they're offering you to reminding you to fill the form in, right? So, it's something I don't know. I mean, you see it a lot with like even Uber drivers, like they would deliver your food and they'll ask you to give them a review, yeah, and that helps them somehow. It gives them a good rating. So it's probably similar with the companies with call centers where they get a rating on their performance, and if they know they haven't performed well, then obviously they're not going to take advantage of that, right? Because they know they'll just get a negative, and they probably hope that obviously it's all recorded, but if it's not flagged up, if you're not taking it any further, they might not even get into trouble. But every company is different. Anyone else? Does anybody else have any experiences with positive or negative customer service? It could be sales, but you know that there's a CRM involved. It could be involved. Anyone? Nobody?
I
Okay,
used
I
to
think.
work with Zendesk for a few months as
Okay.
customer support with Harley Medic, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They were distributing some medical equipments, including and COVID vaccines. I loved that I was able to use the quick responses that were prepared and introduced by the manager into the
Mm-hmm.
system. And because these were there, I was able to tailor
Mm,
my answer, and it was a combination of being quick and being customized. So
mm.
I it really helps you to make the customers happier
Yeah,
as compared to when you start your answer from scratch, like I do in my own small business.
yeah,
From scratch
definitely.
is harder than having the templates with the quick
Templates.
responses.
Yeah,
Yeah, templates.
yeah, that's a really good point. So having templates to respond to customers, obviously, it's quicker. Plus, you might have brain fog or you know, writing something every time, you know, if it's the same kind of thing that you're going to write, just change the names, change a few things. That's definitely an advantage. And that's from inside, like working with the CRM. Any other experiences, anyone? No? Okay. Right. So let's carry on then. Let's go to the next slide. Just bear with me. Okay. Right. So what we're going to look at now is customer versus consumer. What's the difference? Okay. So understanding both groups helps businesses tailor the communication efficiently. Recognizing the difference helps businesses decide who they are targeting with CRM communication. Basically, customer is the individual who's going to purchase a product. Okay, they're going to actually get the money out and make a purchase. A consumer may use the product, they haven't purchased the product, and they can be the same person. They could also be a different person, and especially in retail, childcare, education, or gift purchases. So we're going to look at that in a bit more detail now. So what is a customer? A customer holds the purchasing power and is responsible for making the business decision. A CRM system stores detailed information about this group to support long-term loyalty. All right. So if they've obviously their journey started from when they discovered your product, they probably got interested and then they took action at some point and became your customer, right? They've now purchased. Now you got to follow up on that customer. You got to keep that relationship with that customer, and that all of that is going to be on the CRM. Okay, so a person who actually purchases, a financial buyer, okay, and they get marketing messages through your CRM. Okay, so the CRM focuses on the behavior and the preference, and then that is customized and it tracks the purchasing patterns. Okay, and then it helps, say, a loyalty scheme or a discount you can offer through the CRM. You can place special offers for that individual because they're in a, it's not just one individual you're dealing with, it's a group of people that have become your customer from a specific region, or it could be a certain age group, or it could be a certain interest in a specific product. Whatever that segmentation is, you now know how to market to them, right? And all the information that you're gathered is in your CRM of that customer. So their whole persona portfolio is there. The profile is there. Okay. All the date of birth, their address, their location, the purchase power, what they do for a living, as much as you could capture on any survey form or whatever you however you got that customer is now in your CRM. Now you may decide to make a phone call, okay, just to ask for feedback, to get reviews, to see if they need additional support. They might reach to you and ask for support. Whatever that's done, all of that, if it's going through your CRM, like if they're making a call, if it's logged on your CRM, that's all the customer's history. And then every single staff member can see, whoever needs to deal with that customer needs to see everything, okay? Previous interactions, any support provided, and so on. And as long as that whole journey is smooth, then that customer will become a loyal customer and buy again. Obviously, without all of this, they may buy again just because they have a need and you're a dominant player in the market. But if you have competition, if you're trying to hold that customer so they don't kind of move away from you and go somewhere else, then obviously you need to put that effort in. Now, when it comes to a consumer is somebody who basically uses the product, okay? And their satisfaction affects whether the product is used again. Because they could be using the product and providing reviews. They could be, somebody who does not purchase the product, is on a free trial. They have their experience, and then they basically are sharing their experience. Okay, they will influence other people and their buying decisions. Okay, so it's important to remember that a poor consumer experience can stop the customer from buying again. For example, reviews, often, there's people that go and test different products for a living. Okay. There's like you have the um what's it called? The mystery shopper as well. Like in the physical world, you've got a mystery shopper who goes around the shop and like just to see the customer service experience, right? In the same way on a digital world, in the digital world, it's like having a mystery shopper. Okay. You have people on TikTok who would get freebies and they would test it out, they'll write a review. They didn't purchase the product, they got it for free as a sample. They're now trying to promote it to get commission. But if it's a poor product or there's something wrong with it, they may talk negatively about it, and that can impact the real customer, right? Who wanted to buy, now he's not going to buy because there's a bad review. So each of these individuals, if it's the same person, it could be the case where somebody who was on a trial now is subscribed or has decided to purchase the service, or it could be two different people. Both of these are important. Both of these have to be tracked, and they are in the CRM. So why the difference matters in CRM? Understanding whether the person you're dealing with is a customer or a consumer influences how the CRM communications are designed and targeted. Because each of them will have different needs, they'll have different communication strategies, they'll have different feedback sources, CRM segmentation, and improved marketing accuracy. So let me explain. So when the customer wants value, okay, so a customer wants value. Like if you're a customer, you want a discount or something like that. Consumer wants to have usability and enjoyment. Okay. For example, if you're on TikTok and you're scrolling and you're basically watching the different videos, are you a customer or are you a consumer? Anyone? Are you a customer or a consumer? If you're just scrolling and watching and getting entertained. You're not purchasing anything, are you? You're consuming the content, right? You become a customer as soon as you make a purchase. Now, obviously, there's fees. There's like if you wanted to advertise on TikTok, you pay an ad fee, then you become a customer, right? If you purchase something from a TikTok shop, you're a customer because even though some other business is making the money, TikTok is taking a cut. Okay. It's also good for their reputation that people are making money on their platform. So you become a customer. But when you're consuming a product, you're basically, taking in a service, then what you require is the usability and the enjoyment. Okay. When you're purchasing, when you're actually buying, you want value. So there's a slight difference there. So when it comes to communication strategies, customers receive promotions, offers, product recommendations, and consumers receive instructions, support, updates, and usage tips. Okay. So sometimes you kind of mix the two, customer becomes consumer, consumer becomes customer. You use the terms interchangeably, but there is a difference. Okay. So as a consumer, you would get instructions, you would get support, updates, because you're using the product. You're using it. You might not have bought it, but you're using it, testing it out, seeing how it is, and then you're going to talk about it or whatever you do. You're going to give feedback. So consumers might provide practical product feedback. Customers provide buying experience and feedback. Okay, the actual buying experience, when you purchased it and then spent your money on it, was it worth it? That kind of thing. So CRM segmentation in this place is important. CRM allows both groups to be stored separately or linked together. So the same individual could be both a consumer and customer, or it could be that you're converting a consumer into a customer and you can see all this within your CRM. So that improves the marketing accuracy, helps businesses design more effective campaigns, and recognizes who you're talking to. So let me give you an example. Um, about 3, 4 years ago, I created a course. Okay. Um, Before that, I gave free value on Facebook. Okay, so I'm gonna actually take you to Facebook now. Let me just stop this for a second. Just hold on. just stop sharing. Actually, I didn't need to stop sharing. I could just, okay, let me just go back again. Oh, 1 second. Share, and then go into this one. Okay. So I'm going to go into Facebook. So this is my Facebook, okay? Now, this is my Facebook, sorry. This is my, if I click on my profile, this is my Facebook, right? So I've got like just a picture here of me and my two boys in the distance. I don't want to put their pictures up, but it's like in the distance, you can't see them. This is Skegness Beach, okay? Does it give information on where I am, location? I don't think so. Why am I using something like that and not my brand? Basically, it's Facebook and it's your profile. It should be a bit kind of to do with friends and family and not business, right? But at the same time, you're creating a human interaction. You're creating a feeling that you're human, right? You're not here to sell something. These followers here, I could have had a lot more followers if I used paid ads or if I took it more seriously. But a lot of these people are people I've talked to, okay? People I've interacted with. I started in 2016 in April. All of that you can see is branded to different channels that I use. I haven't really kind of got into it yet. I did do it with a different brand, but in the middle I kind of had burnout, and it was COVID was to blame, I think. But it took a few years, and I'm trying to come back now. But all of that set aside, what I want to show you is the difference between customer and consumer. Okay, so consumer, what I did was I marketed by creating value. So going through my timeline, you may see lots of information about blockchain, lots of motivational quotes, and there's lots of stuff about technology, and it goes all the way back to 2016. I've always given value and stuff on that. I've never sold anything directly, pitched anything. But then one day I mentioned that I've got a course. I've created a course, and it's a crypto course. And it was in 2017 when Bitcoin went from 700 or something to 20,000. Just before then, I basically create this course. So sometimes I do like videos and stuff like that. That course within 2 days sold like hotcakes. It basically got 300. I think I made about 3,000 pounds, which went through PayPal. Then PayPal blocked me. Then I had to put my password through and all this to get that money. But it was shocking that suddenly there was so many people buying, and it was priced at $60, right? $60. And a lot of people bought it because it was the first time I was selling something. So in a way, that was a pull marketing. Okay, it wasn't push. I didn't use any ads. It was organic. But then afterwards, what I did was, if you look on like my messenger, there's loads of messages that just all personal. Like I've just basically created relationship with these individuals over time. Right. So that Facebook account, right, has given me the ability to connect with people. It wasn't a CRM or anything, it was just a social platform. But what I did was afterwards, I paid for an app or to create a community app, and I paid $300 per month. Okay. And I started to provide information on there and not as much for free because I've given the free value for many years. Now I'm in a position where I can charge for that because people understand the value. So if I'm paying $300 a month for a platform that is giving convenience to the customers, okay, which now you can have everything on an app without having to go to Facebook, then you're going to have to pay for the advantages of that, especially when my attention is on there and that's where I'm giving value. So people started paying $20 per month for accessing that information because that information was allowing them to find out about projects that they were interested in or investing in or whatever. Now that quickly built up. However, what I did was I offered a free trial, 7 days trial. Now, what I realized was the conversion rate, right? a lot of people from my Facebook came on to the trial. Okay, so if you had 100 people come in, only 5% was converting into buyers. So percentage-wise, it seemed very low, right? Out of 100%, only 5% was converting, right, into buyers. However, because of the traffic that was coming to the app from Facebook, we're talking about, because it was the peak of the market and everybody wanted to know things, they were literally flooding the app, right? And they were all going for the trial. So I ended up having about 500 to 600 people on the trial, and out of that, a small percentage converting. But eventually, as time went on and I marketed and I gave more free value, it went up to about 500 people that was subscribed at the peak. Okay. So if you calculate it, that's a lot of money per month, right? So even though it's a small amount at first and your percentage is small, the conversion rate will give you a lot of money. If it's a subscription model, it works, but you would have to provide new value all the time. Because if it's subscription, people are expecting new content, right? So it worked until I stopped creating content. Okay, because people are paying on a monthly basis. They're not going to pay if you're not creating content, right? So what I'm saying is that when you're using a CRM, you can keep those people, nurture those people that were on the free trial, and then get them to convert. Because I didn't have a CRM and the app had very basic analytics, I wasn't able to communicate with those individuals without going back to Facebook and finding them and then talking to them and trying to convince them, right? So you can see how it's all kind of everywhere. Okay. So ideally with the CRM, what you do is, even though the people are on trial, you convert them into buyers. Okay. And that is what I wanted to touch on and go back to the slide. So if I go back to the slide now, just bear with me. Okay, I may have got it there, right? So if I go back to the slide here, and you can see the CRM segmentation, the difference between um, the different customers' needs, right? So you've got the consumer and you've got the customer. Now, the people that were the customer were the people who purchased and were paying the $20 per month. They're my customers. I wouldn't have to pitch to them, work with them. All I have to do is give them value now. With the consumers who were on the free trial and the 7 days are going to be over and they're going to drop off, what do I need to do? I need to give them the advantage of actually, like signing up and paying, right? So I would have to work with them even more. So as a consumer, if you go back here, so if I go, just one second, if I just go back here with the consumer, right? So consumer uses the product, although they may not make a purchase, their experience can influence further buying decisions, right? They're on my same social platform. They're talking to each other. They may know each other. They network with each other. They're from the same industry, the same interests, right? If when they come into the free trial, they're not getting the value, one, they're not going to convert into a customer. Secondly, they may go back onto Facebook and complain that, oh, Bilal's app is rubbish, it's not very good. What's that going to do? Is it's going to affect my marketing for my whole community, right? It's going to affect my reputation. So what do? Anybody who's on the free trial, I go beyond. Okay, I go above and beyond. I do the extra mile. I make sure that these people are nurtured as if they're paying members VIP, because they're the people who are going to go out and tell other people about your app. You can even collaborate with them. You can even say, look, I will give you free access. Okay, you're on trial, but I'll give you free access. Work with me, get more people. If you get 5 buyers, 5 people to buy, I'll give you some commission, plus I'll give you free access. Some people may reach out to you and say, give me full access, and I got a big community I can bring on, but I need full access so that I can demo to them. So you can work with these people who are consumers. In the same thing, I give you an example of how I work with them. So what I did was, those people on the free trial, I've got a Excel spreadsheet right now that has that I pulled from that app. So that app allowed me to get CSV. I stopped paying that for that app now, obviously, because you can get better applications and better systems now for a lot cheaper. Pay 300 for the whole year. But I pulled all that information from the CSV, and I've got one tab that has all the customers on it and one tab that has all the consumers on it. Okay. So I didn't name it as customer and consumer, but what I did was paying members and free members or trial members, something like that. But it's the same thing. You've got customer, consumer. Why did I keep the ones that are on trial and the app doesn't exist anymore? But I still got them because I know they were interested, but they didn't probably have the purchasing power. So these are the same people I can now target with a lower price product. Okay. They understood my value. They came onto the app for information, but they couldn't afford a monthly subscription, or it could be other bottlenecks for them. It could be that they just wanted to see who I was and what value I'm bringing. So nurturing them is important because I can still convert them after all these years, as long as my relationship is with them. Now I've been using Excel spreadsheet. Okay. Um, Now that I'm rebuilding a business and I'm thinking of getting all those people back again, would I use the Excel spreadsheet? No. I would invest in a CRM, bring all that information in CRM. Now, because you're taking your customers from one platform to another, you need their permission. Okay. That's when GDPR comes in again. Because yes, they opted into your app, but they never opted in to go to your CRM. So what would you need to do? You would have to email everybody and explain that, hey, you were interested in my app back in the days, and I don't know if you remember me, but most people would, because I've kept that connection and relationship. So that email would go out, and I would tell them about what I'm doing and what I'm offering in the near future. And if they're interested, they click on a button and opt in. Then when they come back in again, they're basically in your new system. So if you do it in the right way, then you're not going to get any flags. Nobody's going to flag you up. That data is protected. Your customers are also understanding that you're respecting their privacy, you're respecting their data, and you're not misusing that data. Because if I blanket email everybody, or if I take them into a new system, there could be people there could be individuals in there that don't like me. Maybe they were in there, but they didn't find any value, and they're going to talk negatively. Why would I bring them into something else that I'm doing, and let that negativity kind of bring that negativity in? I don't want that, right? So I want to filter people who actually see the value. So maybe I do something else where, to filter, I offer them something but for very cheap. Okay. And then if they purchase, I know they're still interested, and I've filtered the time wasters and got the buyers. Okay. The people who actually are interested in me. Okay. Or it could be I direct them to a video to watch and I interact with them there before I bring them into the new system. So I just want you to understand that consumer and customer is different, but just because the customer is the one that's buying, it doesn't devalue the consumer. The consumer is powerful because that's your walking, talking marketer for your business for free if you look after them. Okay. So that is important to understand. So now we come on to, we've got a few minutes. We've got a little task for you. So I've got some different scenarios here at the bottom. Some of them are customers, some of them are consumers. What I want you to do is, in the chat, put the number down. I know there's no numbers here actually. Let me see. How do we do this without numbers? Well, you can count, can't you? So one, is it a customer? Number two, is it a customer or a consumer? Like this, just go down and number them and put it into the chat, just like we did before, but this time for customer or consumer. Okay, let me just go into chat. Let's see. Am I a blockchain architect, or do I fork other projects? I'm not a blockchain architect. I've been an educator of blockchain since 2014, so I understand the tech very well. I have developers who I'm in touch with who build on smart contracts, but I also can read smart contracts. I understand smart contracts. I can fork projects. I can work with different tokens, NFTs, things like that. But yeah, that's what I have been doing in the past. Similarly, I use a workout app. That's different. Okay. I'm just going to read that. Okay, so we've got a few responses already. Let's see. We've got teenage consumer. Teenager is a consumer. Yep, he's a consumer or she because they're using somebody else's membership. They're not actually purchasing, but obviously they could become like it could be that the family membership doesn't cover them anymore. It could be they've reached the age of 18, 19, they're an adult now, they have to get their own. I don't know how it works, but whoever that individual is may decide to market that gym. Like say, I'll go to the gym, I'll go to this gym here, it's really good. And word of mouth marketing could take place where they haven't purchased, but they're basically marketing for you. So that is definitely consumer. HR manager purchases a corporate well-being. Let's see what you guys have put. Customer, yeah, they purchased, even though it's for a company, they're the one that's purchased. Grandparent buys a monthly STEM subscription. Customer, yep. An office worker uses stationery ordered by procurement department. Consumer. So you get the picture, right? So you understand the difference between customer and consumer. That's great. Okay, well done, everyone. Just looking at the answers. Yep. Very good. Okay, so the course intent here. If we go to the course intent, understand what customer relationship management or CRM is. We all understand that now. We know how powerful it is. There's different types. We looked at different types. Understand the advantages and disadvantages. We looked at that. A lot of you commented in the chat. Definitely understand that. Understand the aims of a CRM and why it is important for your business, whether it's sales, marketing, and so on. We looked at that. Understand how CRM works with for an organization and its customers, the benefits of it, call centers, and so on. We looked at it from the user perspective, also from the organization of communication, putting everything together, keeping the communication going and everything, understanding the difference between customers and consumers we just covered, right? So if you're happy with the course impact, just give a score in the chat from 1 to 10. 1 being it was a waste of time, 10 being it was very useful and amazing. So anything in between that. Meanwhile, what I'll do is I'll download this presentation and I'll send it in the chat.